So last night on CNN, Chris Cuomo acknowledged allegations of sexual harassment against his brother, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. Let's watch.
Obviously, I'm aware of what's going on with my brother. And obviously, I cannot cover it because he is my brother. Now, of course, CNN has to cover it. They have covered it extensively, and they will continue to do so. I have always cared very deeply about these issues, and profoundly so.
All right. Democratic strategist, owner of JC Strategies, Jennifer Holdsworth-Karp, and Senior Director of Policy at the Conservative Partnership Institute, Rachel Bovard. They join us now to discuss this and the further developments concerning Governor Andrew Cuomo. Rachel, let me start with you. It's pretty amazing that Chris can sit there with a straight face and tell us he cannot cover his brother whenever the bad times are here, but during the actual bad times, whenever elderly people were dying, and he was joking around about the size of each other's nose and about how much their mom missed them at the time. But now, whenever critical questioning, if the time is actually needed, he's not willing to do it.
Yeah, my favorite part of that statement was when he said, obviously, I can't cover it.
Yes.
And it's like, does CNN watch CNN? Like, do they know we can see them? Like, they're doing this in public?
Yeah.
Because, again, to your point, they spent, how many segments with those giant Q-tips messing around, Cuomo one-on-one, that was like the whole shtick. And now suddenly it's like, well, now I can't say anything. Now I have to be very buttoned up because now it's serious. And so I think, again, it just goes back to this whole thing being kind of a joke. Like, we can see you guys. It's not actually funny.
Yeah. Well, and that's a problem, is it was serious at the time that they were doing that, joking around. I mean, that was at the height of COVID. That's when the bad decision-making around nursing homes was all occurring. That's when it actually could have made a difference. And before the cover-up and all of that. And Jen, so, I mean, this is a horrible look for CNN. They made a massive error that even some in the mainstream press have called them out for letting Chris Cuomo do these softball interviews with his brother. And frankly, there's really no cleanup they can do. It's just embarrassing failure.
Yeah, it was always in bad taste. I mean, maybe once in the beginning, if there was one interview and they, had a little mom miss you at the end, okay, fine, we're all human, right? Yeah. But then they just turned it into a shtick, like it was actually Saturday Night Live. It was always in poor taste, especially at the height of the pandemic. People were dying. And I understand that at the time, Governor Cuomo, thought that it was a good way to get information out because it drew viewers, but it wasn't. Now, Chris Cuomo saying what he did last night, I think was the appropriate thing. That's the appropriate way you address something when you have a conflict. You don't cover it in that way. So at least they got it right this time. That's the only thing I can say about it.
Jen, let me follow up there, not just on Chris Cuomo, but on Andrew Cuomo. I mean, at this point, we now have 3 women who've come forward, say that he's made them feel uncomfortable. We've seen calls for his resignation from high-level Democrats in the state. Do you think that he's going to survive this crisis? I mean, the New York Attorney General talking there about an independent investigation, which he will not be able to review. Things are moving very rapidly against him. What do you make of the situation?
I'm not quite sure he's going to survive it yet. It certainly doesn't look like he's going to. These allegations are very serious. There's even photo proof of one of them. So, I think the investigation has to see itself out. But at the end of the day, they're very serious allegations. And I think that you're going to see a lot of people, including, as we saw yesterday and this morning, a lot of his backers, his fundraisers, his financiers are turning away. And it's going to be exceedingly difficult for him to answer all of these charges.
Yeah. Rachel, we actually have that tear sheet, CNBC reporting about how some of his donors are walking away from him. They're pressing pause on giving him additional contributions. That's a very damaging situation for a politician like Cuomo to be in. This is from our friend Brian Schwartz over at CNBC. Their financiers are pausing and reevaluating their fundraising efforts for him in the wake of sexual harassment allegations. They say he's got to own up to what happened if he wants their support. Others say it's on indefinite pause. So he's facing pressure on all fronts, including the latest development I saw this morning was Representative Kathleen Rice, who's actually more of, ideologically aligned with Cuomo. She's more of a sort of centrist type of Democrat. She came out and called for him to resign. So it does seem like things are moving against him pretty quickly here, although I remain skeptical that he's actually going to be forced out.
Well, I think it is striking, too, though, that this is what it took to move against Andrew Cuomo. It wasn't, the hundreds of elderly people dying in nursing homes based on decisions that he made. It isn't the fact that New York has per capita one of the highest death rates from COVID in the country. It's not actually these consequential decisions, that he made. It's other horrible things that he's done. But, he was killing people before, or making decisions that were responsible for people's deaths before these allegations came out. And no one was very concerned. It kind of goes back to the point Crystal was making, the interviews with his brother that could have actually shed some light on what were really consequential issues then. And now we're finally talking about it because, of these allegations that deserve investigation. But, hey, he's gotten off for a long time when there have been other issues hanging over his head.
It really is stunning, Rachel. I mean, they memory hold so much of the conduct over the past couple of months. And it's only now, like you said, that this is what it's going to take to actually show some scrutiny whatsoever. Okay, guys, stick with us. We're going to be back with Team Rising right after this.